can get you back inside your head before the summer ends, and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a knife, just to give into the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Monday, August 10th. Thanks for watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I am the People's Pundit, Rich Barrison. You guys can follow me on Twitter if you don't already, right there at People's_Pundit. So my throat hurt this morning, and I was thinking of not even doing this, but I need to vent because I'm a little bit pissed off, and I need to get it off my chest. Plus, by tomorrow, it will be stale. So we need to talk about it. Let's look at what's going on in Chicago here today, folks. All right. From Ferguson to Chicago to New York. This is numbers, right? We don't only talk about elections here. Let's talk about the rise in violent crime that is all over the city. Look at the people who support them. This is always the second half of the story that the media doesn't talk about. The first half is the crime itself. The crime rates, the numbers, all the little goodies they love to plug in because that's the easy way to tell a story. But the other half of the story are the people who support it. It didn't just come out of nowhere. And some of these articles, and we can look at them, it's funny because in order to try to downplay them, some of these people come out with like, over the last 3 years, crime is down. We're talking about since the start of this mayhem. And yes, over the last 3 years, if you look at a 3-year trend, it was down. Why? Because Trump's economy was so good. It's not rocket science. It's not new. It's not novel. When the economy gets better, crime goes down. Why? The integrity of work. Less need to break laws to fulfill your most basic hierarchy of needs. This isn't hard. But they came up with this. And by this, I mean to promote and push the death of George Floyd. Why? Because multiple other things weren't working. Because every 2 years, every 4 years, every election year, we have to get some kind of inner city or black on white or cop on black or whatever it is that they have to push because they fear maybe black Americans won't get to the polls in enough numbers for them. So the whole country has to suffer with this. through these lies, which are demonstrably false. For those who don't know, the word demonstrably means when you say something is demonstrably false, it is provable, easily provable that these narratives are false. The media took the George Floyd story because it was starting to stick. And typically, they like to take stories that, maybe they're a little obscure. So white America can say, well, hold on, let's give the cops the benefit of the doubt. Everyone deserves the presumption of innocence. And blacks can say, the hell with that. Here we go again. They're railroading us. Because they want us to fight. That is their point. That is what they want us to do. That is why we call them the big media hate machine. They want us to fight each other. It keeps us distracted so we don't look at what the hell they're doing to collectively screw us. And in the end, this only hurts the people that they claim to champion. That's who it hurts the most. Now, sure, some of this stuff, look, rest assured, this will bleed into a suburb near you. In case you didn't see the videos from Colorado over the weekend. This will bleed into a suburb near you. You will have to go out there with your neighbors and chase Antifa out of your damn neighborhood. That is going to happen if this doesn't get stopped and stopped soon. So what am I talking about? Okay. Overnight. Okay. In Chicago. And then we'll talk about the overall trends, because some of the play with these numbers, how these people are fudging these numbers, it's unbelievable. And nobody's this stupid, not even political reporters. They know what they're doing, and they're pretty stupid, folks. Over 100 arrested, 13 officers at least injured. Did this have anything to do with George Floyd? Which we'll go over in a second. I meant to talk a little bit about that last week. Just as oops, there were other tapes that Keith Ellison and officials in Minneapolis hid from the public while the country devolved into chaos and unlawful disorder. They just hid that from the public. Tapes of George Floyd saying, I can't breathe, well before the cops ever did anything to him. Does it matter? Yeah, it matters. Yeah, it matters that his blood was filled with enough fentanyl to kill two of him. Why do we give opioids to people in hospice care who are dying, folks? To obviously to ease their pain, but to slow their heart rates and their respiratory functions. George Floyd's toxicity report shows he was likely well on his way to dying well before that cop, which of course I still don't condone putting your knees on the neck of people. I mean, we have political persecutions. I don't understand why anybody's surprised that cops would do that, would be that physical to people. The prosecutors are persecuting their political enemies. That's the next step. Somebody's got to go out and do it. Somebody's got to be the troop. What the hell are we surprised for? Not that I condone it, but the point is, between the evidence that he was already screaming, he could not breathe, I'm going to die, man, I'm going to die, before they ever did anything to him, and his toxicology report. So, well, obviously this is for a jury to hatch out and decide. They poisoned the jury. Not only did they poison the jury pool with this case, not only did they do that, they poisoned the country. And we've been dealing with this crap forever. Mayor Lightfoot for the last few months, Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago, just in early June, was mocking Alderman Lopez, right? You remember that tape we played? Mocking Alderman Lopez. His concerns about what was going to happen. Forget about tonight with the protests with George Floyd. We're setting a precedent. What are we going to do moving forward? What happens when they go into the business districts? What happens when they go into the neighborhoods? To the residential neighborhoods where people live. My constituents live. And she took a little tantrum and they got into a cursing match with each other. That audio leaked. It was funny. We all laughed. Ha, ha, ha. And now here we are today. Were they smashing windows and stealing from the Best Buy and committing violence against police at Chicago's Magnificent Mile shopping district? Were they doing that because of George Floyd? Is that what was going on there? Was that a civil rights demonstration? All right. And now she comes out, and you got to give it to Superintendent David Brown. I mean, he's got to deal with the mayor he's got to deal with, although I don't particularly like this joker either. But he says this was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality. This was an act of violence against our police officers and against our city. Welcome to the party. What was it back in June? What was it in June? That was a protest? Is that what Martin Luther King used to do? Right? They pander for votes because they want votes. And then this gets out of control, and they think they could just, reverse themselves like this? And a couple strong words at the microphone are going to turn this thing around? You're kidding, right? We're joking, right? And we see this with Fry. Crying like a baby into the mic, feel everybody's pain. That's what you do when your police department is being lit on fire and burning down. Police have to evacuate a major precinct. You cry like a little baby, like a little girl, and tell everybody how you're in touch with their feelings. And then what? 2 weeks later, when you try to use some kind of authority and you try to put your foot down, they boo you out of town square because you're not willing to just give them everything. And then they run you out, which is essentially what happened. He's nothing. He's a puppet nobody. There are enough votes to override him. He's a nothing burger. He's a figurehead. His chance to lead, he wasted by crying into the microphone like a little girl. We're all going to sit around, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. And now Lightfoot, who mocked Lopez, Alderman Lopez, now she wants to do the same thing. See how well this works for her. Abject criminal behavior, she says. This is not a legitimate First Amendment protected speech. No kidding. These were not poor people engaged in petty theft to feed themselves and their family. No kidding. This was straight up felony criminal conduct. Mayor Lightfoot, what the hell was it in June? What was it in June? Okay, and let's take a look. I just want to make sure we give the hat tips. Make sure we get the hat tips because they took this video. It's their video. Give them the hat tips here. All right. Here's Best Buy. Did they do this to feed themselves?
Of other stores there. We've seen a Binny's and a Pottery Barn and possibly an Ulta as well. We believe they've all been hit overnight. And this is very close to North and Clybourne, where we told you we'd watched two groups of looters going in there and looting that store. And it had already previously been looted as well because the door was smashed on it. We watched the first group pull up in vehicles, 2 or 3 vehicles. They got out, they went in, they took whatever they were taking and got back into those vehicles. And then we watched a second group pull up and do exactly the same thing, pulled up in vehicles, went in. We saw 6 men in that group go in and take whatever they were taking and get back into those vehicles and take off. Now, we have seen a lot of closures downtown, a lot of restricted access downtown or to the downtown area. A lot of streets have been blocked off. We do know that some of the bridges are up right now, we believe.
Yeah, kill that, because I want to show that. Kill that. Right. So Ulta Beauty to feed your family. You steal from Ulta Beauty for George Floyd. You rob Best Buy for George Floyd. You have got to be kidding me. But this is what they did for a month, 2 months now almost. It only gets worse. That's what happens with mob mentality. You don't nib it in the butt and it gets worse. And what she was talking about right there, and I cut it short. I wanted to cut it short because I think this one, is that one CBS News? The last one was CBS News. This is what they had to do to keep them from the district. They put up the drawbridge. This is an urban, I think it was Geraldo I heard say this, but he's absolutely right. It's almost like you have your normal gang violence, which is like an urban civil war. But this is not just, look, Black Lives Matter, all right? And I'm going to show you a clip of Barr in a second talking about Antifa. Black Lives Matter, though, had a lot to do with this. And then this is just normal people out in the streets robbing because they see and taking advantage. There's a lot of that there, too. Black Lives Matter is not and never was a civil rights organization, but this is the fruit of their labor. That and the big media hate machine who helped push this crap going back to Ferguson. And actually, the hashtag Black Lives Matter first showed up during the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman incident, whatever you want to call it, where Trayvon Martin, we later found, was not some little young honor roll student kid on his way to the corner store to get a bag of Skittles while this bad man who loves his Second Amendment gunned him down in the corner. You know, at first, by the way, it was a white man. A white man gunned him down, CNN portrayed him as a white guy. All right. When in fact, he turned out to be a Hispanic Jew. I mean, this is, they are the media. They are the biggest force for hatred and division in this country. And then the politicians who they ally themselves with. And we're going to get to that soon. Mainly, we're going to show Joe Biden how he is now supposedly the moderate, Mr. Moderate, worried he's not going to get above 83% of the black vote. Allowing radical handlers, because he is handled, allowing radical handlers to push and inflame using narratives that he damn well knows are false. But it doesn't matter because he's afraid he's going to get 83%. These local, and by local, I mean in these urban centers, these these district attorneys, these prosecutors, nobody pays attention. When in 2018, and I hate to, because I hate to do the, George Soros is coming crap. But it does matter. They never get any coverage. These races get no coverage. And now we wonder why we have cities burning, being looted, and law-abiding, Second Amendment-loving citizens prosecuted by district attorneys for protecting their property because the police either can't or won't. And by the way, folks, they're doing it again this year. They're doing it again this year. Sometimes these local things matter most. These local races matter more. Everyone wants to give their attention to the big political presidential race. Everyone wants to give their attention to the senatorial statewide races. They are the least connected to you. The local races have the most direct impact on your life, or at least theoretically in a republic, that is how it's supposed to go. All right. And in Chicago, just before we bug out of here, because this is nothing. I mean, the stuff every damn week, I mean, if you follow it, since May 22nd, when there began to be what is an uptick in violence, all right? Shocker, big shocker. I mean, some of this too, you'll see is cyclical. It is true that summers can be sometimes more violent than others. But in 2 months, just from May 22nd to July 22nd, which really is 61 days if you count on the calendar, all right, there were 1,130 shootings. 212 of them were fatal. And we've all seen these stories of these young kids. All right. That averages to roughly 19 people a day. 19 people a day, with at least 3 of them dying, by the way. And I'll post an article that runs over this really great. Sadly, most are on the south and west sides, the very people they claim to champion. All right. New York, same story over there. Okay. Let's, I'm like compiling all this stuff before. I was going to save this until tomorrow, but because I wanted to do a little bit more, but I by tomorrow, this is just the nature of our news cycle. All right. New York with Comrade de Blasio over there at the top. It's so sad for me though, to talk about New York because it is my, look, I'm in the South now. I'm never going back. Never. Until you born in the North, you're taught you're better, especially if you're a New Yorker. It's true. Let's be real. It's true. Then you do something like, out of the box for someone who lives in New York and join the military, tour the rest of the country and realize, damn, I'm really not free up there. I'm never going back, but I'm definitely not going back now. It's sad to watch it. When I was young, your parents couldn't even go to an ATM. And I don't know if Lisa's listening. She'd tell you guys, I'm 100% telling you the truth. Back in the 80s, the early 80s, you couldn't go to an ATM at nighttime. You had to step over a homeless person and watch your back to make sure you weren't mugged. It was horrible. It was bad. And then Rudy Giuliani, that's what it took for a Republican to win in the city of New York for mayor. It was so horrible that even gentrified liberals had to completely abandon their party because, it comes a time when you're just unsafe. I'm not even going to bring her name up. One of my family members, a stark, Dukakis over a Bush kind of Democrat. Okay. She voted for Rudy Giuliani. That's how bad it was there. All right. So let's see. Since the protests, homicides in New York are up 24%. I'm sorry. Actually, they are up this year 24% if you average the nation's 50 largest cities. My fault. I'm mixing up those here. Got to get some context. I can't see diddly. But when Giuliani became mayor in 94, passed obviously the baton to Bloomberg in 01, but Bloomberg largely kept up his policies and things were working. All right. But over the first half of 2020, homicides are up 21%, shootings are up 46% year over year. Over the first 7 months of 2020, murders up 30%. In July, the month of July, which really took the brunt of a lot of this crap, the number of people murdered in New York City is up 59% compared to the same month of last year. Shootings are up 177%. If these were to continue, this would be an unprecedented crime wave. Unprecedented. And some of this, obviously, I'm not going to, normally I would attribute to social economic issues, but it's obviously more than that. This is a politically pushed effort that they hope they can couple with the shutdown and the economic slowdown because of the shutdown that they supported to show everything's in chaos and they can win an election. Because that is what this is really all about. And that is the second half of the story the media never tells. They don't want to talk about that. All right. Let's see. If you go back 3 years, like some of the media is doing, all right, then what happens is you have to average together the peace and prosperity time that was going on during the Trump boom. And that is what a lot of these NBC I've seen do it. CNN has tried to do their own little ploy on it. But the first 6 months of this year, 329 people were killed in Chicago, which is an increase of 34%. 246 homicides, that it's up from 246 during the same period of last year. Shootings in that period, for the same period, shootings alone up 42%. 978 in 2019, the period we're talking about, to 1,384. It's a war zone. There are areas of Chicago that are more dangerous than Afghanistan. Last month alone, 75% increase. 424 shootings in June 2020. That's up from 242 in June 2019. Murders in Chicago up 78%. 89 in June of 2020 compared to just 50 the same month of 2019. June saw the largest or the highest number of gun-related violence in a single weekend. Worst thing about it is you have Brown come to the microphone. Nobody remembers. Last year, Brown said, you know what? I challenge us to keep it under 300. We're doing a great job. But that was before all of this. That was before the new lie. And that is the worst part about all of this. All of this is fueled by lies. They're fueled by lies. Like I was starting to say before, the hashtag Black Lives Matter popped up during the Trayvon Martin case. That was a lie. I don't like George Zimmerman. I think he's a piece of garbage, but that was the correct verdict. He was defending himself. And in the state of Florida, if you feel like your life is threatened and you're getting the crap beaten out of you, you can shoot somebody. Why? Because if you get the crap beat out of you, they can take your gun and kill you. Which brings us to the real birth of Black Lives Matter, Ferguson, the fraud, Missouri. Michael Brown never put his hands up. Michael Brown never said, don't shoot. What Michael Brown did was try to take a firearm off a police officer whom he was assaulting. And he got shot for it. I hate to break it to everybody. It doesn't matter what freaking color you are. You try to remove a cop's gun and assault him, and you're going to get shot too. But to this day, we still have people pushing these lies still. Now, the Democratic nominee for president is doing it, which I had to fire back at, I think, yesterday. Okay, here is Joe Biden's Twitter account. And I say Joe Biden's Twitter account because Joe Biden is not the one who did it. Oops, that is the wrong one. Joe Biden is obviously not the person who sent out this tweet because Joe Biden doesn't do anything himself. Joe Biden's handlers, whoever runs his social media account, sent out this tweet. And by this tweet, I'm talking about this right here. It's been 6 years since Michael Brown's life was taken. You guys can barely see that. I'll read it to you. In Ferguson, reigniting a movement. We must continue the work of tackling systemic racism and reforming police. That is one of the most disgusting tweets out of Joe Biden's handler's Twitter account since the start of this campaign. We saw Elizabeth Warren do the same thing too. She flat out said he was killed, he was murdered by the police. But here they're trying to equivocate since his life was taken, which reignited a movement. No, a lie ignited the match that burned the city down. What are you talking about? And in fact, systemic racism, his own black attorney general led the investigation by the Justice Department into what happened. Eric Holder, again, the first black attorney general of the United States, his Justice Department under the Obama-Biden administration concluded because the witness who started the hands up, don't shoot lie, collapsed under questioning, totally collapsed, fabricated it. Other witnesses, which, I'm not going to get into because I don't want the man, especially one who was key, I don't want him to face some kind of like retribution because, you talk about him. It all fell apart. They knew it. The grand jury that included African-American local citizens, they knew it, which is why they refused to indict Officer Darren Wilson, whose life was ruined because he defended himself against a violent thug who tried to take his firearm while beating the crap out of him. A large one. I wonder if Chuck Todd, I wonder if Joe Biden, I wonder if any of these other white old man liberals who push these lies, if they were in Officer Darren Wilson's position, would just feel bad for Michael Brown while they're getting kicked out of them and could potentially lose their weapon to him. I wonder if they were in Officer Darren Wilson's boots in his patrol car that day. I wonder if they would think to themselves, this poor 250-pound man, grown-ass man at this point, 18 years old, you are a man. You are responsible for your actions. I wonder if they would just sit and take a beating from this guy because, I feel bad about the systemic racism in society that led to him acting like this to a police officer. Does anybody seriously think they would not draw their gun and shoot him to protect themselves? These people are the filth and scum of the earth. They are the scum of the earth. They want us to hate each other so we don't look at what they are doing collectively to us. They want us to blame each other so we don't blame them. They are the ones responsible for Ferguson burning to the ground. Just 2 weeks ago, it almost burned again. Why? Because they perpetuated this freaking lie with the help of people like Joe Biden and other dirtbags who will not just tell people the truth. They want votes. They want votes. Why didn't you do anything about the systemic racism when you were vice president, Joe? Why didn't you bring charges? Why didn't your Justice Department bring charges against Officer Darren Wilson? Because he was innocent? Did you forget? Did your handler forget that on Twitter over the weekend? And they expect, because the lies are perpetuated, they expect now we have a black DA and a black prosecutor is going to take another look at this case and he's going to prosecute Officer Darren Wilson. And because there was no case, 2 weeks ago, they were forced to admit that they weren't going to bring charges. And with the crappy little politically pathetic caveat, we're not exonerating him. A prosecutor's job is not to exonerate. I've never heard of an exonecutor. In this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. You're already exonerated by birthright. By right of being an American citizen, you are exonerated until a prosecutor for the state makes a real case against you and you are convicted. There is no such thing. Same thing happened with Trump and the Mueller crap. They write up this crappy little report because they had nothing, just like that prosecutor had nothing. And they say at the end with a caveat like they're God Almighty, but we're not exonerating. The hell do you think you are? You are a prosecutor. There are no such things as exonecutors. Every American is innocent until proven guilty. You had no case. You had no case. So you did not bring a charge. End of story. You're not exonerated. Never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. But these lies are perpetuated, so the city almost burned again. Again, it almost burned. Because people like Joe Biden, people in the big media hate machine, they continue to push these lies because it helps them. Nothing says to a white liberal, big black turnout, like a race riot or like a case like this. It's horrible. And how long are we going to continue this? How long are we going to let them do this? And I'm not sure there's a whole lot, folks, that non-urban America can do about it. In truth, I think they're going to have to demand that they're treated like first-class citizens. I think they're going to have to, and there is another element to this. Because if you know and follow me, you know I do think that there's a lot of unfair policing practices. I've worked on cases where I've seen it. I know there is. Political polling is not even, forget about it being the majority of our business, a big data poll. It's not even close. Other kind of research is. The most interesting research we do is voir dire for various lawyers. And we conduct research into what, for a particular case may be the prime or ideal juror. And we've worked on multiple national cases of civil rights abuses. It happens, folks. It happens. Not only does it happen, but injustices follow. Like there's video evidence of it, and nothing happens. Now, does this represent the mass, the vast majority of interactions with the police? Absolutely not. There is no evidence of systemic racism in this country. There are individual cases that political hacks, petty tyrants, and their sycophants in the media, their incestuous brothers and sisters in the media, help them to push for votes and an overall goal. Disorder and chaos is their overall goal. And we will talk about that when we come back from the break. But again, just if you doubt me that these lies are perpetuated and people believe this crap, even though it is demonstrably false, it is false. Michael Brown never put his hands up. Michael Brown never said, don't shoot. It never happened. Michael Brown tried to take a police officer's firearm while he was beating the crap out of him, and he got shot. End of story. That's what the ballistic evidence shows. That's what the witness testimony shows. That is what the evidence not only shows, proved. And a diverse grand jury made the right decision. But yet, this is what we got and stuff. So there you have it. There it is. All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Barr, and we will talk about some of the other things that dovetail off of this. Before I go, ponder this for a second, okay? Because, the reaction to William Barr's interview on Life, Liberty, and Levin yesterday is predictable. But it's also it's really just truly unbelievable. Trump has tweeted some doozies, as you damn well know I have pointed out. Some of the stuff Trump tweets, you guys know me. I'm like, what on earth are you doing? He'll step on himself. He'll say dumb crap. I mean, he just does. And I know some of you absolutely love it, but you know that I think it's politically stupid. I do. However, have you ever seen Donald Trump tweet a lie, a falsehood that had such horrible repercussions? The biggest wig out, and I've been trying to think about this now for like hours and hours and hours. What was the tweet that the media said was like the most they wigged out, Ned? Think about it over the break, and I'll look at some of your comments when they said, that was so irresponsible. Think about the worst wig out the media has ever had to a Trump tweet that they claimed or said or, labeled, characterized as irresponsible. Has any of them, and we'll look at them in the break. You guys try to, I know you guys you'll come up with some good ones. Has any of them been so irresponsible that they were such a lie and such a falsehood that they were dangerous? Dangerous? Did they lead to the burning of a U.S. city? The shooting of little kids in the street? The murder and assault of police officers? Has any of Trump's tweets ever led to something like that? We'll be back in 2 minutes. Let me know. Send them to me.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a
find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
So you guys find me a tweet yet that from Donald Trump that the media said was so irresponsible? You know, it was going to do this and that the sky was going to fall, the earth was going to open up, you know, California was going to break off at the San Andreas and go into the Pacific. Who the hell else knows? You know, NATO would collapse. You know, something that may have led to something as horrible as the shooting of police officers, the death of little children in the streets, the burning of U.S. cities. Anybody find a tweet like that yet? And thanks. Yeah, we did hit that subscriber count. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, People's Pundit Daily, if you don't already, all right? And don't forget to like the page, People's Pundit Daily, on Facebook. Of course, the ultimate way to subscribe, to support the show is to subscribe to People's Pundit Daily, which you can do by going to ppdnews.us/.com. And Laura, check this out. That was the Grammy considered Bowen Band. Damn! I nailed all that today, right? Anyway, still waiting for the tweets. I have yet to see from all these norm destroyers, right? Donald Trump destroys norms. He's so irresponsible. He's a threat to the First Amendment. He's a threat to the press freedom of journalists. He's a threat to their lives. Folks, what have we heard over 3 years? The world was going to end under this man at this point. How did we even make it 3 years? We should have all already died. I cannot find one where they bugged out more than when he said that Barack Obama, the Obama administration, wiretapped him, right? To use his words. That is the where they totally wigged out very early in his administration. Of course, he knew it was true. It was true. They conducted surveillance on him, illegal surveillance on him. Because that's what Chicago thugs do. That's what thugs from Chicago do. That's the politics they play. And Barack Obama was a thug from Chicago, a yuppie educated in Hawaii who partied too hard and then made his bone with the thugs on the streets of Chicago. The so-called community organizer. He made Richard Nixon look like a choir boy. A choir boy. I don't know why anybody ever doubted that that was going to be true. That's how they roll over there. That's how they roll. And Trump knows that, by the way, which is why he pardoned Rod Blagojevich, which is our commuted sentence. That's why he did it. Yeah, they go nuts when he misspells something. Right. They go crazy when he misspells something. I've never yet seen a cop die because of Donald Trump's tweet. I've never seen an 11-month-old baby gunned down next to his father on the streets of a major U.S. city because of Donald Trump. Or even, let's put it even further, a falsehood that Donald Trump tweeted. Since Twitter loves to censor everything he does, label it as misinformation. Hey, Jack, where's the label on Joe Biden's radical handlers tweet from his Twitter account about Michael Brown? Where's the misinformation label there, Jack? Where's that label? I assume since you're so smart, you're the big CEO of a major social media tech company, I assume you're smart enough to read a Justice Department report. That never happened, Jack. Where's that label? You almost throw me off of Twitter because I refuse to call Bruce Jenner Caitlyn, and I refuse to call Bradley Manning Chelsea, because you're not taking my truth away. Okay? You're not taking my science and truth away from me. I'm dead naming people. I'm not killing anybody. Is anybody dying because of something Donald Trump's tweeting that you may think is false? Mail-in ballots, which, by the way, what he said was generally true. We went over that here on the show. He talked about the specifics were wrong, but what he was saying about ballot fraud with this type of mail-in ballot scheming absolutely results in vote ringing, absolutely results in ballot stuffing. There's no other reason why you would put a moratorium on these laws that are safeguards against election fraud. Did anybody die from those tweets and pushing those what you call lies and misinformation? Did anybody die from it? Because we always hear, it incites violence. Donald Trump's, we're taking that tweet down. That incites violence, that tweet. He retweeted a user who said something like this, and that we're taking it down. It incites violence. Lying about the death of Michael Brown didn't incite violence, doesn't incite violence right now. Were two officers not assassinated on the streets of New York in their patrol car because of that lie? When originally, and we're circling back to it, we're going to perpetuate it every election year. We're going to hear about the phony killing of Michael Brown. We're going to have to hear about the phony murder, I should say, of Michael Brown. Are we going to have to do this every 2 to 4 years when Democrats think they're not going to consolidate the black vote enough? And why the hell am I the only one talking about this second element to this story? Yes, the numbers, the rise in crime rates, the looting, the rioting, that is a story, of course. What about the second part of this story, which is that this is a politically enabled crisis? These deaths are politically enabled. The truth is that 11-month-old to these people was expendable, so they could get reelected. You and I, we're all expendable. They don't care about what shutdowns will do to our lives and livelihoods. They don't care what their lies will do to our communities. They don't care about how many black Americans will be gunned down in urban America because there aren't enough police willing to do their jobs anymore. And why the hell would they? Why would they? We're expendable. We're all expendable to the state. Power, 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 power. That's all that matters. Bill Barr. We're all expendable and we're all smearable. Bill Barr and John Durham alike were among the most respected people in federal law enforcement, period. Were among the most respected people in the law enforcement community that you could find. The Bushes, when Poppy Bush died, gave a little bit of a nudge, pick Bill Barr. This did not come out of the idea to pick Bill Barr did not, as the Attorney General, did not come out as some fringe right-wing group pushing and lobbying Donald Trump to pick some political prosecutor with a long history like freaking Andrew Weissman or something, or Eric Holder. This is an institutionalist kind of guy, straight, mature, level-headed, not political, and so was John Durham. Praised by both the right and the left for decades. Bill Barr was praised by Patrick Leahy. He was praised by Joe Biden, who handled the hearings the first time he was nominated. Praised by Chuck Schumer. Patrick Leahy actually said, I am totally confident that you will be an independent voice for the American people and not a lackey for the president. Patrick Leahy actually said that about Bill Barr. But now Bill Barr, one, is threatening the grand poobah of frauds ever to be perpetuated on the American people, which is the Russia collusion hoax. He's threatening to expose that. John Durham threatening to expose that. And now all of a sudden, these are highly political men doing the bidding of Donald Trump. He has the nerve to point out that Democrats can't even bring themselves to condemn mob violence, to condemn Antifa, to condemn the tactics used by Black Lives Matter, which is a Marxist group. It is not a civil rights organization. They are a radical Marxist group born out of a lie. But he doesn't even bring that up. And he simply says, they can't even condemn mob violence. And he said something on Life, Liberty, and Levin. If I had to catch it on the flip side, if you guys haven't seen the whole interview with Bill Barr, you should absolutely do that. Look, well, I'll leave that part of the story out of it. But I will just say, I think Levin did a good job. I mean, of course, he's a right-winger. He's supportive of the police. He's supportive of the law enforcement community. And he's supportive of Donald Trump. Congratulations, you got him. It's just like entire news organizations and 50% of all the other news organizations, their entire staffs and half of Fox News or more are pro Joe Biden. Shocker. Mark Levin is pro Trump, or at least for now. And he did a good interview with William Barr. And William Barr is, I got to admit, when Donald Trump picked William Barr, we did some asking around and we were told he was an institutionalist, like a real institutionalist. And when I heard that, my initial thought was, well, there goes the Russia probe. That's the end of that. Nobody will pay because institutionalists tend to protect the institution over anything. So that's what they care about, the survival of the institution. But Barr turned out to be like as people said, or at least he appears to be, a true institutionalist, which means sometimes in order to protect the institution, you have to police it. Sometimes the best way to preserve an institution and the faith that people have in it is to do your own cleaning, your own house cleaning. And it appears that's what William Barr is trying to do. And when you see some of these statements that he makes that the media has a total conniption over, what they don't understand is Barr is thinking about the long-term public trust in these agencies and bureaus, in the overall Justice Department. Nobody will ever have faith in the FBI again if the wrongdoers aren't brought to light. That's the bottom line here. You cannot have half of the country think that the system doesn't work for them. Otherwise, it devolves into violence. And I have been warning because number one of my greatest concerns is that we're just seeing left-wing violence right now for the most part. Right-wing reactions are not, what I'm not worried about is not in the form of like some right-wing group that goes out there, to meet like protesters and clashes, like even like, far right, or what people pretend to be right-wing, Nazi and white supremacist groups. Those are actually left-wing groups, okay? Nazis are socialists, all right? And they just have a racial component to them. I'm worried about everyday Americans who are right-wingers, who just want to go to work every day and feed their family. They're not inherent or overly political because they're too busy just trying to live their lives. Leftism is an ideology, a true ideology. Conservatism and, American conservatism is just a way of life. They're not trying to use an ideology to fill the hole in their hearts that they use to fill with other things like faith and family. They don't need to do that. So they would rather just live their lives. And I'm worried about the day that those everyday Americans say enough. What will it look like then? And actually, I was going to play some of the footage. I'm not. because I don't want to be accused of, applauding it or something crazy, because these people are nuts. But over the weekend, they stepped into the wrong neighborhood. It's not going to be easy for them to make these moves into these suburbs. That's why they need the political support. And that is absolutely what they are lending these groups. What Democrats and Joe Biden, when they lie, the way they lie, and by not denouncing them, they are de facto lending them their political support. And sometimes, like we saw in the Barr hearing, they're overtly lending them their political support. All right, let's listen to Bill Barr. All right.
It's a form of it's a new form of urban guerrilla warfare. Mao Zedong used to speak about the guerrilla being like fish swimming in the ocean, the way the guerrilla moves through the people. The guerrilla hides out among the people as a fish in the ocean. And what they do is they are essentially shielding themselves or shrouding themselves in First Amendment activity. They go into the demonstrations, which are exercising First Amendment activity, and they insinuate themselves in there to shield themselves. That's where they swim. And what they do is they hijack these demonstrations and they provoke violence, and they have various tiers of people, from the sort of top provocateurs down through people who are their minions and sort of run the violent missions.
There you have it. Hat tip, like Liberty and Levin usually run it during the show, right? So he's got it, folks. And he's got it. Did you hear what he was saying? He fully understands that these are Marxists. These are not civil rights organizations. And if you guys did not see the episode that I did with Robert Barnes a couple months ago, when this all kicked off, the three elements to a true civil rights organization or group or movement, none of which are shared with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. You should go back and you should absolutely watch it, because he nailed it. Barnes is somebody who is constantly involved in these civil rights cases. Another thing, somebody will attack him for not being supportive of these groups or looking at the cases. Media should not try cases. Let them bear out. Let the system play out. Let them work. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, I don't know anybody who takes more civil rights cases, often for nothing. Like actual real violations of civil rights, not these crappy, media wannabe stories that they push and then lie to us over. But what Barr's saying is absolutely true. This is like a new form of urban guerrilla warfare, and they are absolutely supported by the left's money and by the left's elected, held offices. They are. The other day, somebody was going through, actually in my town, Black Lives Matters, the signs and his thing. The guy had a nicer car than most people, they were dressed nice. Like, they have support, folks. These are not so are some of them organic? I'm sure. All right. But this was a guy who was on his way to go make trouble. And he was on the phone in the parking lot with filling up gas. This was not somebody who's been oppressed his entire life. I mean, you have got to be a fool to believe this crap. And then you have people who either support by neglect, by doing nothing, like Mayor Lightfoot, Bill de Blasio. I mean, you cannot be this stupid to think that this isn't intentional. I don't know how there are still some people who don't see it. There's political support being lended here, whether overtly or covertly. It's just getting more overt as time goes on, because nobody cared, because for the most part, there hasn't been any pushback. And that's the nature of Marxism and these kinds of movements. They never just jump into the frying pan, folks. They do slow, steady marches until they get what they want or meet resistance and somebody fights back. And ultimately, white America, they've been kind of just sitting off in the shadows. They don't have to live with this every day. So they've been kind of just sitting on the side, or I would absolutely blame Republicans for some of this because they do nothing. They do nothing. They figure it doesn't impact them. They do nothing about it. Well, somebody's going to have to do something about it. I mean, or we just accept where this is headed and we accept our fate as a nation. I'm not ready to do that yet. I know maybe I'm still a little bit of an idealist, but I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just not. We cannot be afraid to speak our minds. We cannot be afraid of the mob, whether it's mob mentality or physical mob. Whoa, we're about to get it. Did you hear that? That was God saying, tough, Rich. I'm smiting all of you and you can't stop it. No, I'm kidding. All right. So anybody find me a tweet yet, by the way? Because I was going to do a quicker show here today. I have a lot of work I got to do for tomorrow. I am trying to wrap up. We are trying to wrap up this map so you guys can see. So you watch Inside the Numbers and then we get into, the voter files and stuff. There, we want to be able to give you some surface information. It's just a ton of work in it, and I want to get on that, and I want to get it out there. So when you guys are watching Inside the Numbers, I'm sure a lot of at this point, most of your subscribers, you'll be able to go there and you'll be able to look, and even if you wanted to during the show, there'll at least be top line stuff. You won't be able to see everything, but there'll at least be top line stuff that you can look at together. So I'll say, hey, we're going to look at Arizona. We're going to look at Wisconsin, whatever it may be. And you'll be able to go, okay, let's go to the page, click on it, hover over the state. It's basically in the mold as the election model that we still run. So it'll be in that kind of a mold. You can hover, get some basic information. You can click on the state, pop-up window will come up. You can get more detailed information. I really want to get that out. So it's just taking forever. There's only so many hours in a day. And like I said, I was actually going to push some of this off, but I was pissed today, guys. Pissed. I'm sick of this crap. And these hacks on Twitter. Yeah, Jim, if you are a subscriber to PPD, you will have to be to see the map. When the map goes up, you will. I mean, something we have to charge. We have to put something behind it. A paywall like that. We'll wind up doing stories that link to it. So we'll give kind of some touch information on the surface, but for the most part, you will have to be a subscriber. And then I did want to answer, Laura will be really proud of me, Nurse Liz. I did want to answer that too as well, talking about before with Barr. I think that's where Barr and some of these other people do sit on this issue, Liz. I think that ultimately they feel like it is so bad already. It is so bad already. And Ron Johnson, he's obviously thinks Christopher Wray lied to Congress, and definitely Comey lied to Congress. Where the hell? And here we got mobs in the street. We got disorder over here. We got chaos over there, and just constant examples of two-tier standards of justice, double standards. Roger Stone was arrested, and Roger Stone was charged for doing what James Comey did. Doing what John Brennan did. Doing what James Clapper did. But he gets arrested. The rest don't. What Ron Johnson is saying with that subpoena and what Lindsey Graham told Marie Bartiromo over the weekend, although Lindsey Graham, man, nice way to lead the witness, Lindsey. That Sally Yates, we didn't even talk about that last week. I mean, he basically held Sally Yates' hand through that freaking hearing. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He damn well knows how to pose questions, to solicit information from people under oath that he wants to solicit. What he was doing was called leading the witness. He led her right out of a perjury trap, which she was going to fall into. But what they're saying when he tells Maria Bartiromo about the source of the dossier, what they had said, what he's saying is that FBI officials, including the former director, lied to Congress during these depositions, during these questionings. Nothing. All Michael Flynn was ever accused of doing, regardless of the media BS, all Michael Flynn was accused of doing was lying to a federal agent, willfully misleading a federal agent, which is the same as perjury. That's it. He was never accused of doing anything wrong during the phone call with Ambassador Kislyak. What he was doing was perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. The incoming national security advisor is allowed to talk to his Russian and other nation counterparts about whatever the hell he wants. The transcripts between Flynn and Kislyak have been public. You can get them on PBD if you want. They've been public now for a while. He didn't even talk about the sanctions the way the media said. It was all a load of crap. By the way, it was Joe Biden's idea, according to Peter Strzok's notes, to use the phony, baloney Logan Act to prosecute Michael Flynn. It's a load of crap. Take the words of the FBI at face value. Their goal was to fake him into a lie, or what they could say is a lie, while juicing up everything else. My Russian sanctions, he's an agent, he's a Russian traitor. That was bogus. All Michael Flynn was ever accused of, all Roger Stone really, of course, they talk about tampering, but they got both of these guys on essentially is nothing that James Comey, John Brennan, multiple agents at the officials at the FBI have not done. We can't continue like this. I really don't understand how Trump haters can't see the bigger picture. It doesn't, and some of them really do. You really got to give credit to where credit's due. The Michael Tracys of the world, folks, give them, the kudos, credit where it's due. The Michael Tracys of the world. The what's the other one? I just read something fantastic from him on Substack about that. What we were talking about, the subsource of the dossier, Matt Taibbi, and even Greenwald for a while was on this. You have to give some people credit where it's due. To Tim Pool's, some people who are not exactly fans of Donald Trump still have a big enough brain to be able to see this. I mean, I just don't see. I don't see the short-sightedness, or I don't understand the short-sightedness. You cannot continue forever like this and have a stable, self-governing society. The worst thing for any nation state, and especially for a self-governing one, is when regime credibility crumbles. Regime credibility, yeah, we always use that term regime to talk about dictators. It's just it applies to everybody in the world of international relations. Everybody's a regime. You lose regime credibility, it just all comes down, folks. It all comes down. You cannot have mobs in the street getting away with crap while their elected officials make excuses for them. Political persecutions on one side, but not the other. Facing justice when it's black and white evidence. I mean, you can't do this forever. You just can't. Jack, before I go, I will have to take a look at that Ohio predictive poll. It seems like to me, Jack, they were a little bit too favorable to Republicans in 2018. Now there seems to be a bit of a Democratic lean, but I still think that their work is, honorable or honest work. Take a look inside. I'll do the same after the show. Take a look inside. What are they saying for Maricopa County? I think 2 polls ago, it was a little bit out in left field about what the electorate would look like in Maricopa County. McSally is not exactly a candidate that inspires enthusiasm. Donald Trump will, though. He carried Maricopa by 5. There have been some demographic changes, but that's why he won Arizona by such a larger margin than Jeff Flake, for instance. If you cannot defeat a Republican in Maricopa County, then chances are, especially a Republican who will juice the vote, then chances are you're just not going to win. The polls will be off. Look, McSally did not ever have a 9-point deficit to Kyrsten Sinema. That race was razor thin, and Democrats needed 3 days of early in-person vote in their precincts in Maricopa County, while Republicans abided by tradition by not voting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I mean, that was a dirty scheme, but it worked. And they needed that to be able to eke out the teeniest edge in Maricopa, which put her over by 0.2%. The polls were not very good. All right. So we're here in August. All right. Yes, it's true. Biden has led in every single one. Kay Hagan led in every single poll almost. Harper Polling, a Republican firm, had Tom Tillis up. The polling industry has some very big problems, and social desirability bias is getting worse. So I hear what you're saying. I do. I look at with me, historical vote shares and voting trends and voting preferences ultimately outweigh tight polls that are within the margin of error. If Maricopa County cannot go for Joe Biden, then he won't win it. And if Maricopa County in the poll isn't around at least R2, R2.5, and most of these polls are not, they're showing either even or they're showing D plus in Maricopa. That's crazy. And we just saw the primary vote. It's not going to happen. All right. It was 2.5 in 2016. And it went for Trump by 5. And the reason why is because independents in Maricopa County don't vote like independents the rest of the state. They lean more Republican than the state as a whole. All right. So, or have traditionally. And then even while Sinema carried independents in Maricopa, she only carried them by a little compared to statewide where she carried them large. So votes don't always turn out like polls. I'm very, very, very skeptical that Joe Biden is going to carry the state of Arizona. Arizona is going in the long term because the Mitch McConnells of the world and the Lindsey Grahams of the world sat on their thumbs and twisted while Democrats were fundamentally changing the demographics of the country. And the only thing that has kept Arizona slightly pink now to competitive is the migration of Republicans out of California and other areas. And in fact, that's held Texas at bay. All right. Otherwise, it would look a lot more like the Atlanta suburbs in Georgia. All right. So there we are. It's a 112. Look, that's Ashwin. I'll answer that one real quick too. I was just going to take us out, but again, polling in North Carolina, horrible in 2014, horrible in 2016. I think Donald Trump's going to carry North Carolina by at least 4 points. All right. I really do. And it's very difficult to poll. I think we had it at, I'd have to check with Madam Producer. I think it was 3.5 or 3.5, 3.6, something like that. It would have rounded up to almost 4 points. We got, it's very, very difficult to poll. And we got very close, but I attribute, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I attribute some of that just flatly to luck because the Democratic number in the poll that were telling us they were going to vote for Trump was way higher than the other polls that we were seeing publicly. And I think what happened there is in the southern and southwestern part of the state. And that is, they just don't want to change their voter registration. They will tell you on the phone or on the online panel that they are in fact registered Democrats. And I think the media just misses them because that is the kind of person that you're going to miss if you're just calling people on the phone. All right. Especially if it's a live caller. Those people have zero time to talk to pollsters. Zero time. All right. So I think that there are, Joyce, there are a number of House seats. Barnes and I were talking, we had a call over the weekend. We were kind of ourselves and we're kind of laughing at some of the betting odds out there showing, big underdogs in the House. There were, and we can do this. You know what? We can do a deep dive into this. Maybe I'll do that once this show. Once one show this week. I will show you how many House seats were decided by tiny, tiny little margins, and in a 10-point roughly Democratic national skew. So they would need a really big election to not get at least. There's a lot of them out. There's about 30 that were Trump districts. A lot of them, though, have shifted over time. So it is, the landscape overall used to favor Republicans compared to the national vote. That edge has diminished over time. There's no doubt about it because of the changing of the maps and also the shifting of demographics. But there is still a load of districts that are going to be very, very difficult for Democrats to hang on to. Very difficult. These were Democrats who ran away from Nancy Pelosi. These are Democrats who promised their constituents they would not vote for impeachment. Connor Lamb had his district redrawn to a district we didn't even think would be competitive. And we have seen two polls that show him in deep trouble. And I don't really care about the top line in polls because I don't care what the pollsters' take is on it, but I do care about what it says inside the polls. And if I was Conor Lamb's campaign, I'd be a little bit nervous, which he's got a very strong Republican challenger. And then also, too, I mean, there's just certain groups that are pissed at Conor Lamb for not being the moderate that he claimed he would be. All right. And here's a little bit of free advice for Martha McSally. Mark Kelly said he would have voted for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was going to lose the state of Arizona by 10 points to Donald Trump. So, the guy is promising to be a moderate, yet he was going to choose socialism and party over country and his own supposed belief system. I mean, there's some free advice. You could probably find a 5-word rhyme that would drive that point home. All right. I am going to go for I want to actually know. Laura, you'll be proud of me because I want to answer this one. This is really the last one. Lamp asked, are raw demographics the problem for Republicans or urbanization? Rural Hispanics and blacks seem more flexible than their urban counterparts. That's a great observation. I've said this and I will repeat this. Republicans really don't have a black or Hispanic or minority voter problem. They have an urban minority voter problem. We did this whole deep dive into 2018 in certain states, one of which being Florida. And they did quite well outside of, metro areas because Florida doesn't really have many deep urban centers. They don't have, outside of Broward. And then of course you do have Miami, but look, they keep it kind of tight there because of other constituencies. If you have a state that doesn't have those deeply urban, depressed inner city kind of blue cities, really, but I mean high population, very, very liberal, then you'll see minorities actually much more flexible in their voting preference. It is the urban and metro element to this, which is why they've slipped among whites as well. It's really cultural. The relationship is less about race than it is about cultural demographics. And, metro people are rigid. Contrary to everything you will hear, the least tolerant person in this world, in this country, of other people's opposing views is the white urban liberal. They are the least tolerant. It's just true. And I am not the only one who has borne this out. Pew has found, findings that absolutely back up what I'm saying. All right. If you have a white liberal urban family member or a white liberal urban friend, you are most likely to lose them as a friend or as a friend on Facebook, a friend in real life. They are the least tolerant to other people's views, which is shocking considering they're the ones who say everyone else is intolerant. In truth, the word is halfway culturally brainwashed. That's the truth. And it doesn't matter what facts you hit them with. And it goes to what I was talking about in the beginning of the show. There are scores of these people who will still tell you that Michael Brown put his freaking hands up and Michael Brown said, don't shoot. Never happened. You could put the Justice Department report in front of them. You could put the ballistics report in front of them. You could put the grand jury testimony in front of them. It won't matter. It won't matter. All right. Brian Stelter said otherwise. Okay. That's just the way it is. And it's sick. It is really sick. Yeah. And that is one of the biggest disappointments, I would say, because I would even if for no other reason, but a national unity, I would have liked to seen Donald Trump use his celebrity to stop this cycle. Because ultimately, it's not just about votes. It may be to these little petty tyrant hacks. But it's not about votes, people. It's not. It's about 11-month-olds being sprayed down in the middle of the road. This can't, it can continue, but I'm just saying it shouldn't. And I'm disappointed in Donald Trump, who definitely had an opening, but unfortunately he let, he tried in the beginning, and you could see that with some of the people he was inviting to Trump Tower before he took office. You could see he had those plans, and popular culture and social pressure really laid into these people. They caved, and Donald Trump just stopped. It's one of the biggest disappointments I have in him. He really could have used his celebrity. And go look up at the WikiLeaks. Go look at John Podesta's emails. They'll tell you their biggest fear was that Donald Trump would use his celebrity to take away the black vote and Hispanic vote, or at least portions of it. Because a celebrity, somebody like that, who's maybe you don't even like the guy, but you got to admire his success. And look, Barack Obama idolized Donald Trump. It's that kind of attitude. He could have used that kind of stature, to pierce that bubble that they got everybody in. It's not even break the chains that they have everybody tied to that machine, that inner city machine. And he didn't do it. And it's such a shame. They could have handicapped the Democratic Party for decades. That's number one. They could have kneecapped them. Bang. Right out from underneath them. And then maybe they wouldn't have suffered so much with some of these white suburban people. Their definition of what a suburbanite is, which is not a great definition of a suburbanite, because we actually call it the Rauner effect, but we've also measured it with other politicians. Republicans who go after urban votes more than other Republicans tend to do better with those suburban, stiff upper lip, virtue signaling Romney voters anyway. It almost is like getting more bang for your buck, 2 for 1. Maybe you can attract some urban votes, but they'll take it as, because they don't see it as virtue signaling, right? They don't really see it as that, but that's what they do. So you kind of earn their respect for doing that. Like Romney taking out $200 and handing it to that poor African-American woman who didn't have money to get home from like that kind of crap. All right. I'm talking about a real effort though, not the stupid little virtue signal. I'm talking about a real effort. And it would have went like Bruce Rauner did it. And that's why I call it the Rauner effect. And he went right. He knew he couldn't win over everybody, but he went to places of faith, Reverend Meeks, others in Chicago. And he basically said, look, I know you guys support the Democratic Party, but you have for a long time, and look what it got you. And Bruce Rauner basically used Trump's line, only it was 2 years before. What the hell do you have to lose? Give me one shot. Give me one term. If I don't help you, then get rid of me, but give me a shot. Bruce Rauner was just a businessman who had connections in the area. He was not a celebrity who people admired, even though you may not particularly like him and you don't like his personality. You're still like, damn, he's Trump. The man surrounded by gold. The man lives in gold. He had that kind of stature. And when Trump first started running his appeal, they succeeded in putting him in a box like a typical Republican. And he let them. But in the beginning, his appeal was attitudinal. It was not ideological. And you can see Podesta and one of his academic friends panicking over that because they knew that was true. And I saw that from the jump, and that was one of the biggest things we would talk about. And it was absolutely true. Oh my God, this guy could win Oakland County and still carry the very conservative areas in South Carolina. He sweeps all 50 counties. Well, really a more moderate candidate or traditional establishment candidate should have been able to win Ori, the golf course capital of the world, home to the stiff upper lip Republican, which is now supposedly the Biden voter. Well, Trump swept that. He crushed it there. He did not start off like this. They put him in a box and he let him. All right. He let him. That's just true. Sorry. If you're a Trump supporter, you got to take the good. You got to take the bad with the good. All right. And I'm very disappointed that he did not use that stature and that attitudinal appeal to stop the cycle of race baiting politics in this country, because now here we are again and he's president. None of this, of course, I'm not putting this on him. This is absolutely a politically driven effort by the left to gin up black votes and to topple the system because they don't like it either. They have that in common with Black Lives Matter. They don't care if they tear it all down. They're stupid enough, because the white liberal is this dumb. They're stupid enough to think they'll be able to put this back in the box. They'll be able to put Pandora back in her box. I swear to God, they're that dumb. We'll just use them. We'll use them to topple it. And then we'll put Pandora back in her box. They are that. Folks, we're talking about people who think that they could stop the planetary evolution of planet Earth. Okay? We're talking about people who think that they can hide from and outsmart viruses. Believe me, their hubris knows no bounds. They're going to use these groups. Tucker is right. They are effectively, BLM and Antifa are effectively the Democratic Party militia. You might as well just call them the first and second militia of the Democratic National Committee. And their hubris is so out of control, they really believe they'll be able to put these people under their thumb when it's done. Folks, kid you not. I kid you not. You really got to start looking out these races and out for them, of these district attorneys, all right, who are being funded by radical billionaires, radical groups. They got a lot of them in 2018. They're coming back for more. You will see more persecutions. I'm not even going to call them prosecutions. You will see more persecutions. Wow. Did you guys see the lightning? That was right there. That actually shocked. I heard the crackling in my mic. Are you guys there? Are you guys still there? Did the lightning just take us down? That was right there. All right, look. You will see more of this with people who are trying to, persecute people for simply trying to defend their home from a mob, with their God-given and codified by the Bill of Rights right to defend themselves and bear arms. All right. But I love you guys. I'm going to leave you here for today. All right. I got a lot of work we got to get done, which I think you'll enjoy. All right. It is almost 1:30, so we went almost an hour and a half. All right. So thanks for watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I am the People's Pundit, Rich Barris. You guys can follow me if you don't already at People's_Pundit. Little pissed off this morning. Toned down toward the end of the show a little bit. Sorry, I just can't stand this. I've clocked more hours in the American ghetto than any of these idiots on MSNBC or CNN. They have Whoa, did you guys see that? Lightning just blew me out. Back up, second back up. I can't believe you guys still hung on here. Look, I don't live in Fayette. No, I live in New Bern. But I'm going to go before things blow more, right? So thanks for watching Inside the Numbers. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel even before the lightning strikes again. Don't forget to like the page on Facebook, People's Pundit Daily on Facebook, of course. And ultimately, the best way to support the show is to subscribe to PPD, which you could do by going to ppdnews.us/subscribe. ppdnews.us/subscribe. All right, all the best, folks. I'm going to go before there's another strike. There's been like 3 in succession. All the best. See you tomorrow.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be. I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a knife, just to give into the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette.